back down into a controlled price range. Now, you're not going to see that in trading books. You're not going to see somebody get out there on the internet and explain here in the chart. But that's what's going on, folks. Okay. I told you before, a lot of you guys out there, you simply don't know shit. You don't know anything. You don't know anything. And it's important for you to know that we're in an age of so much corruption. When have you ever seen a market literally lose $250,000 inside of 2 days? All you had to do is be short one contract and you won the Robbins Cup. You're done. One trade, you're done. It's over. It's done. Now, let me tell you what my regret is. Thursday, I was thinking to myself, I got an unction. Okay, and I told you that if you were watching my other channel, you've heard me talk about this. So I promise you, I'm going to respect the atheists in here. I'm not going to talk about the things that I could talk about out of respect for you. Okay, because this is not the venue for that. But just so you know, I got an unction on Thursday. It was like a strong intuition, like a strong tug inside of me that I should have bought a lot of 85 put options on silver. And it was nagging at me. And I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. And man, I've been asked all the time, have I ever regretted not buying Bitcoin? Hell no. That's the beast system. I'm not gonna do anything with that. I won't care. I don't care what it does. I will never, ever, 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 ever trade crypto. Never. Absolutely not. I've never regretted not buying that. I do regret not buying 85 puts because they were dirt cheap. Dirt cheap. And on Monday, they're going to be ridiculous. I could have made millions of dollars just over a weekend and not lose any sleep over it. So that's one regret. I can't look back and say, I regret I missed that move. I don't have any missed move regrets. I have regrets of not managing the trade or getting out when I should have, or holding too much of a position. Obviously, that comes with anybody. But I've never regretted missing a move. Miss silver. I had an unction to buy 85 puts. They were far out of the money, 120. I was thinking to myself, man, it's so unlikely, and nobody's expecting that. And I'm telling you all to take some profits. If you look at the daily chart, there's some inefficiencies down in there. And I thought to myself, they could drop it down. Even if I got 14 days still left, of the time decay is going to be ridiculous. But still, if they're going to pull against, that would be a wonderful way of doing it. Now, am I saying I saw them dropping that much? No, I just said it to you. I was expecting it to come down some, but not to see them do it for our span of time. So where am I getting with all this? Tighten your tinfoil hats up a little bit, okay? We are at a time where they don't give a rip what you understand about them anymore. They literally just dropped all those files. There it is. And everybody is in it. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. You're going to talk about it on social media, disgusting, whatever. And the whole time they're doing things and having oligarchs that were not elected influencing the outcomes of how our countries are ran, what we can do as the people, what limitations are placed on us. We don't vote for these things, but it's all happening. They're making a mockery of everything. Every sanctified thing, from marriage to governance to representation and overreach. They're doing it, and they're shoving it down your throats and saying, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? What can you do about it? Nothing. So what? You're going to stand out there on the side of the road with some signs and say, oh, this, that, and the only thing. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. They're doing whatever they want to do. This is their world. This is their world. We are all vermin to them. We need to be exterminated. And if they can profit off us or use us like batteries, that's what the Matrix is showing you. That's what they do. They use us as a consumable commodity. And once we use up our usefulness, we're discarded. And you need to be paying attention because it's coming fast. Really, really fast. And what's that mean? It means that we're going to start seeing crazy levels of manipulation in the marketplace where I told you, what happens if they take it away from us? See, that was a controlled demolition. It wasn't a sudden just, it's gone. It dropped 20 full handles in silver. That would be a lot. But what happens when you start seeing that? What happens when you're in the market and you start looking at your little squiggly 1 minute, 15-second charts or whatever it is you're looking at, looking for an ICT-PD array, and all of a sudden, price ain't updating anymore because it's off the chart, lower. The whole price axis on the right-hand side doesn't reflect it because it's off the chart down there. What are you going to do? You're going to start sleeping good at night with that? You're going to feel empowered? You're going to feel like it's time to start doing 15 contracts because your prop firm says you can? Or is your ass going to clam up like that and think, oh no? Because we are in the last bastion of free enterprise, folks. We are in the perfect business. There's nothing better than trading. There's absolutely nothing better than speculation with a model that's consistent and you have control over your emotions and psychology and you're not wigging out over everything. There's nothing better than this. And you think with all the stuff that they're doing all around the world, you honestly think that they're not going to come for this too? It's coming. That day of reckoning is coming. The closer we get to 2030, you have to have all these things in place. They've sworn to a agenda that this has to happen. They need this in place, which makes me wonder, why is it that year? What's so special about that year? Think about that. Why does everything have to be in place by that year? And why is all the nations around the world walking in lockstep with it? You may think you're listening to your leaders that you voted for, and you think they're not part of that. Look around. Look closely. You will start seeing them doing that. They don't care who sees it now. They only have a little bit of time. They're going to still do everything they're going to do, and they're going to do it roughshod. And it's going to affect the markets. That's my point. That's my point. It's going to start causing moves in the marketplace that are going to be wildly extreme, exaggerated, and no one's talking about this. And I warned you about this 2 summers ago. I said, think about this now. Think. What are you going to do if you can't trade? What are you going to do? What alternative do you have? Now, some of you are going to be like, well, maximum pessimism. It's going to kick in like, well, at that point, I don't care, bro. This is all I got left. That's not true. That's not true. But you need to be thinking what you can do, what kind of other hustle you can do. Don't be sitting back just assuming that trading is going to be like, I'll give you a perfect example. There's lots of influencers right now that are making lots and lots of money. These prop firms are making lots and lots of money. But what do you think is going to happen when the market caves in and becomes next to impossible to trade? Or I know it doesn't seem likely, but what happens if they just say, you're no longer allowed to do it unless you're a professional? You know, that little thing you have to do every year with your brokerage firm? You have to sign a form and do it every single year. Are you a professional or a non-professional? You don't see it coming, but it's going to be able to say, you're not a professional, so you can't participate. Oops. But my optimal trade entry. But my zircon model. So what? You're going to do it their way, or you're not going to do it at all. See, right now, everybody's just making their money, getting paid out. They're getting little affiliate commissions, buying out cars, buying stupid stuff, completely oblivious to what's coming. But I promise you, these same people are going to be on their live streams crying with real tears, complaining about, dude, who would have known? Like, who could have saw this coming? You all know. And I'm not saying this so you can mock them later on, but I'm telling you, they're all going to feel stupid. Because there's going to come a day, real soon, that these same influencers that are making hand over fist, and folks, let me explain something to you. You add up all the influencers out there, all of them, and all their affiliate marketing, all that stuff, they don't come close to me. Period. So I'm not looking at any of them with envy. I could care less. They're finally getting a little bit of money. Okay, a little bit of money. A couple million here, a couple million there, that's nothing. When their meal ticket is done, they will be nothing again. And it's going to come down on them like a weight. And it's going to smother them. And they're going to take themselves to their live streams and they're going to be crying to you because they're not going to be able to wrestle with, they can't do it anymore. People aren't going to be paying for these prop firms because the market will not be afforded to them. The positions will be too astronomical in terms of risk. You can't see this, but I see it coming. I see it coming. Now, there's a lot of you that are going to say, you know, this is wild. Like this guy's, he's nuts. Okay. You're welcome to that opinion. You're welcome to that opinion. And if you get on, if Kit does a space and you think that that's what this is, you know, I'll listen to you. I'll probably laugh at you and I ain't going to ridicule you. I ain't going to troll you. You're entitled to believe that. But who else was saying you better take some of that money before silver dropped $200,000+ a contract? I said this in every major move, and I'm behind a paywall with a legion of people that can come out and say he's lying. I did it in Bitcoin. I did it in all the other commodity markets, in currencies, in the dollar index. For 30+ years, I've been doing this stuff, folks. And I'm going to tell you something, okay? And I need you to really listen to this. I have never seen a market environment like we have right now. And I studied decades of market activity before I even started trading in 1992. I paid for data that reached back as far as data can go. And there has never been a market environment like right now. And you listen to these 20-year-olds that come out and say, bro, you know, this, that, and like they're stupid. They're stupid. They literally think they know everything. And I know what that feels like because I was a 20-year-old making lots of money thinking I knew everything. You make a couple $1,000s and you think you know everything. Mr. Kid Ego, you're going to tell somebody, listen here, old man. Listen here, old man. This old man paid more taxes in the last quarter of last year than you'll ever make in your friggin' life. Okay? That's the way it is. That's the way it is. But you listen to these people that are influencing you, and they're trying to get you revved up to worship them. I don't want you worshiping me. I don't want you listening to me and believing just because I said it. I want you to take the initiative and say, let me just take a look at this. Let me just look into this and see if there's anything that I need to be concerned about. That's all I'm asking you to do, folks. I'm here in a non-monetized setting. If you're listening to this, it's because I've given permission for everybody that wants to do it. They can put it up there on their Spotify. They can put it up on their YouTube channel. They can do whatever they want to do. They can monetize it. I don't care. I just got to get it off my chest. Nothing but my genuine concern towards you is the only motivation for me to speak to you like this. But there's nobody else out there saying these things. And I'm telling you, I couldn't sleep last night. This is what's on my mind. And I wrestled with not even talking about it at all. And it's like gnawing in my gut. Like, you better say it. You better say it. It's the same feeling. I'm going to be honest with you. It's the same feeling that I had in July of 2019 and in October of 2019. When I came out there, I was the only person that came out and said something wild, something worse than 2011 is coming. And you better get yourself ready because it's going to affect everything. And what happened? March of 2020, the whole world stopped. And they said, you can't do what you want to do. You can't do this. You can't do that. You better wear a mask and you better stay 6 feet separated. That was a beta test. That was an IQ test. That's what that was, folks. But I didn't understand why I was being pushed inside of me to say it. As I was saying it, I had no idea where that stuff was coming from. But everything happened. That same feeling is the same thing I had all night long. And I told you there's going to be a day that you're probably not going to be able to trade. Something's going to affect it. Something's going to interrupt it. Something's going to prevent it. And I told you when that happens, I don't have an answer for that. And I honestly believe that we're now crossing that. We're at the precipice. We're tipping over right now. And because they are doing everything in our faces, almost daring us, do something about it. I'm not saying uprise against your government. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying go out in the streets and do any kind of protesting. My question to you all is, what's your response to it all? Like, what's your response? Like, how are you going to navigate your world if they tell you you can't leave your neighborhood only so many times, so many miles in a year, or they start taxing you? Because that's what's coming, folks. It's draconian. It's worse than that novel 1984. If you've never read or listened to the audiobook of 1984, honestly, you need to do it this weekend. That's absolutely mandatory reading. Because while that's fiction, they're using it as an instruction manual. They're using it as a standard operating procedure and then doing worse. We have midterms coming up in November. I'm going to be honest with you. No. I don't know, man. I think what they're creating is, right now it's cold. And those people up there in Minnesota, majority of them are being paid to be there. It's already proven. It's already been proven. I know you guys, you're respecting me as the mentor, so you don't say really what you. These are homegrown people. They're just fed up with the government. They're fed up with ICE. They're fed up with this. Listen, I'm not defending ICE. I'm not defending Trump. I'm not vilifying them. I don't have a horse in that race. I just know what this really is. They want you and I to pick a tribe. They want us to pick a side. Because if you're on a side, you're on the chessboard. You're in the game. I'm not either one. I'm outside of it. I have objectivity. I can see it for what it is. I'm not going to be someone in the streets, running around, videotaping, getting up in people's faces. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do it. My family isn't going to do that. I don't think that you should do it. It doesn't do anything but cause problems for you. And it forwards their agenda, division. My opinion, my solution is don't comply. Just don't comply. Don't make a spectacle of yourself so that way you're going to be made an example. because that's what they're looking for. They want any form of opposition. Regardless of what, okay, let's play devil's advocate for a moment, okay? Let's say that what I think's happening happens this summer. It's really, really cold up there. People are getting paid $12,000 a week by billionaires all around the world to do what they're doing. I don't care if you don't believe me. Do the research. It's readily available, and they're not even hiding it anymore. They know people are so divided. They're so bent out of shape, and they're struggling financially. Look how expensive things are. You don't have a skill set. You didn't go to college, or you dropped out. You are not highly motivated. You don't have a business, and you have low self-esteem. And someone says, I'll pay you $12,000 a week to go act a fool. Oh, I'll do that. Sure, yes. Who wouldn't do that? As a younger teenager, I might have considered doing that. And I'm going to be real honest. As a younger teenager, Michael, I may have done that. There was a time when I was just being a punk. And I may have done something like that. But because of my age and my maturity, I can't imagine doing that now. Even if I wasn't in the position I'm in life right now, I can't imagine doing that because it just goes against everything of who I am as my character. I'm not that type of person. And I see what's going on is a form of division. And I expected it during Biden, but I saw it coming in Obama. I said, we're going to start seeing the military in the streets. My kids looked at me like, you're crazy. My wife even told me like, okay, listen, you've never been political. Where is this coming from? I said, I don't even know. But I'm telling you, we're going to see the military in the street. He gets in office. He starts making a move on the smelters. That means the people that are manufacturing ammunition. And I ramped up buying guns. And I started really building my collection then. If you don't own a firearm, I think you should have one. It's your right to have one. Okay? And even if I lived in another country where it's not so quote unquote legal, I'd have one. I would. I don't care. It'd be buried somewhere in a hollow of a tree somewhere. It's going to be where I can get to it. There's going to be a day coming where they're going to say you can't do something, and you're going to be met with a choice. Is that in your best interest? Is that best for your safety and security? And I know my decisions are going to be. I know what my family's decisions are going to be. But we're not going to get out there and act a fool and be part of the tribe mentality. You against us against you. Because that's what these billionaires around the world, these Luciferians, okay, that's what they are. That's who runs the algorithm. That's who put it all together. That's what they're doing. Everything is ran algorithmically. And they're trying to run us the same way. But we are organic. We have free will. We have a decision-making mechanism that says, you know what? Yeah, I'm not going to do that. There's no override for that. So how they force that on us? Control. That's why they tax us. If they can print money and give it to other countries in the United States to blow millions and billions of dollars every single week, they're just throwing money around, then we're overtaxed and we don't need to pay taxes. So why are they taxing us? For control. You don't listen to us? You don't pay your property tax? We'll take your home. Trump said, I want lower housing costs. Now he gets in this term, I don't want prices to go down. I want them to go higher. What is that? Nobody can afford the homes now. Nobody can afford the interest rates on the mortgages right now. And who's suffering? The people that aren't making any more money, but their home values are going up. Wow, if I was selling my house and other people could afford it, that'd be a wonderful thing. But now what are you expected to do? You're expected to pay the state rent through property taxes. And if you don't pay that property tax we call rent, your home that you own, that you already paid for, and you paid taxes when you purchased it, we're going to take your home. We're going to give you a year to pay that money back because that's a mafia shakedown. And we're going to give somebody an opportunity to hold a lien, a tax lien against that property for the amount owed in taxes for 1 year. And if you don't pay it, they get your house for what they paid for in that tax lien plus the fees. That's a tax lien certificate. And you don't think that they're doing that to most people? They're securing a lot of properties like that. The people that are involved in the government, they do that. The lists are so hard to get. Yeah, there's lists out there that people can do it. And I've done all that stuff. The point is, the best properties, the best things, the government's doing that. And now you have BlackRock going around for the last decade or so, accumulating all these houses. And now the guy from BlackRock, he's now the leader, the president of the World Economic Forum. And the new Fed chairman that Trump just tapped the shoulder of, look into where he's from. You're worried about he's hawkish, he's dovish. No. He's from the Bilderbergers. He's World Economic Forum. He's part of the club. Dude, it's checkmate. Okay, that's where we're at. That's what's coming. Like, they are going to put serious stuff in motion. And when the weather breaks, and the weather's a little bit nicer, they won't have to pay so much to get people out there. And other people are going to want to be out there because they're struggling even more. And when the fair weather protesters come out, and they're in every state, it's going to be crazy. And what is everybody going to want to have happen? Because I already hear some of my neighbors saying it. Man, if they start doing that around our houses, I hope they lock us down, put us in martial law, and clean up everything. What did you just say? What did you just say? You just said, institute martial law, take away my liberties and my freedoms, and take away my constitutional right and my Bill of Rights away from me, and curfew me. They're creating the problem because they already had the solution in mind, martial law. And a lot of you young guys out there and young gals, you just don't see it coming. You hear an old man talking. That's all you hear. You hear somebody talking and you don't see any relevance to you. You're just trying to get your bread. You're just trying to get your bread, bro. Fools. Fools. You have no idea what's coming. Completely oblivious. Only worried about the right now, today. Have no idea what's coming down the pike. They're bringing in people from other countries to destabilize Western culture, civilized nations that don't have these problems, and now they're destabilizing them. There's a faction, a division. You versus us versus you, when it was never there before. We got past all the white versus the black. In the country here, is there racism? Absolutely there's racism. But it's not extreme like it used to be. When I was growing up in our neighborhood, it was straight up racism. They hung Confederate flags off their houses. They drove around on their cars. It was hanging off the back of their pickup trucks. They made it very loud and proud. They didn't care. That's the way it was. It wasn't like that. That's why I had to hide all my friendships with my black friends, where breakdancing came up when I was a kid. Rap came up when I was a kid. And I had to hide that stuff from my family because they weren't gonna tolerate that. But I wasn't gonna stop being friends and doing the things I wanted to do. I didn't give a shit. I was gonna do what I wanted to do. So I didn't listen to my own mom and dad, Well, grandparents is called that way. Bottom line is that I didn't want to listen to them. Just because they thought of that way of thinking, that means I subscribe to it. So we got past all the white and black stuff. So now what do they got to do? They got to create something worse. Let's bring in an extreme view of culture, third world nation thinking. Let's flood the nations with that stuff. Where these people that are coming in, they're not trying to assimilate. They're going to shit on the sidewalk. They're going to come after your people, rape them, do whatever you wanted to do because they don't have any usefulness for laws. They have no concern for being civilized. They've never been held to that standard before. So now they're coming in here to get in all these subsidies. It's a perfect storm. And we're watching these people come in, get a free ride. Get a free ride. While you're struggling just to make ends meet. They got the best health care. They get a free cell phone. They get money. Free housing. And when they do something wrong, they don't go to prison. You drive too fast, 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, they're going to screw your ass to the wall. All by design. Because they want you to look around and take inventory. They're getting away with murder. Literally. And here you are, trying to do the right thing. You pay your taxes. You don't like it, but you're doing it. You go to work. You hate your boss. You put up with fucking Carl. You're putting up with all the bullshit that comes along with it. You're putting up with all of it. But you're still doing it on the straight and narrow. You're paying your taxes. You're doing everything legally. And they're telling you they're going to tax you more. How about fucking taking some of the subsidies away? How about that line that says, you know what? You're on welfare. It's going to upset some of you. I don't give two shits about it because I grew up on welfare. Okay. If you are trying to live off like leeches, like parasites, off the taxpayer's dime, and you have no incentive of bettering yourself and taking an initiative to get off your fucking lazy asses and do something to make money on your own and support your own fucking kids, you're a piece of shit. You deserve nothing beyond a realistic. Now, what's realistic? 9 months to a year. I think somebody that was on subsidies, I think at the maximum 1 year. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. If you have another kid, fuck you. You're off the program. Forget about it. And if you think differently, go fuck yourself. You're the problem. You are the problem if you think that way. You see all these opportunities that's been afforded to everyone. Everyone. And what have you been doing? If you're on subsidies, you don't want to change that. You don't want to upset that apple cart. You're getting free housing or next to nothing in terms of rent. You don't want to mess that up. And all it takes is me to vote a certain way or not vote a certain way. And I could keep mooching off of society like this. And you call that living. Wow. Wow. You sold yourself short and you bought the whole program that they want. They want lazy mentality. So that way you can think, yeah, I don't have to have a job. I'm getting all my money given to me. I don't have to pay that much in rent. So think about the perfect illusion they've created for you. If you're on subsidies, your rent's not extreme. Even though you're getting a little bit of money, but you're getting grocery money, cell phones given to you, health care is covered. You have the best health care. You have the same health care that these senators have. That's top notch. It costs me $3,000 a month to have something equivalent to that. How about that? How about that? But you think you're a king and a queen sitting around thinking, man, this is great. I don't want to mess this up. But you're watching live streamers proving that they can make millions of dollars a year. And they ain't got to be on welfare. They ain't got to ask for a subsidy. They ain't got to worry about if they want to have more kids, can they get another tax credit for their kid? They ain't got to worry about hiding their father in the household, but claiming they don't know where he's at. It ain't black folks that's doing this too. It's everybody. White, Indian, Chinese. Everybody knows that it's a free-for-all over here, and they've been piling them in. The stuff that they found in Minnesota, that's going on every fucking state. Every state! It's been going on a long time. Long time. Decades of it. And they don't give a shit. That woman they just put in the office down in Virginia, she's already making legislation to protect So there's no reason to be fearful of doing it down there. Think about that. It's crazy town. It's straight crazy town. And I know that the weaker people out there are going to get nuts over this stuff, and they're going to start doing things illegal. They're going to go out in the streets and cause a problem. They're going to harm other people. They're going to do stupid stuff. They're going to pull a 1776 moment and regret it. And regret it. They have things you're going to see this summer. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, here's what's going to happen. You're going to start seeing the things that they have in place where they've used in other countries on other people. They have these devices where they're literally able to basically microwave you standing in the spot you're at right now. It's so much pain. It feels like you're being microwaved. It feels like you're standing on the surface of the sun. That's the kind of stuff they're going to be putting on people. Okay? They want you to understand. And the clearest way of doing that is letting people get